like James Bond. Spicebox taxi by the Central. Sailor Moon remixed by Fela. Say moi, I am not a queen. I'm a fairy. Sha.
Denise Chaila is slaying it, be it dressed in chainmail or in an evening gown. Known initially as the rising star of Irish hip-hop, she's now staked out a place high up in the firmament with the arrival of her mixtape, Go Bravely. Well, Denise joins us now to tell us more. Hi there.
Hi.
We just heard a clip of Enche. Now, that's the single from your album, Go Bravely. I believe that Enche means in Irish, here. So can you explain where here is for you geographically, artistically, musically? Where are you at right now?
I'm in lockdown right now. Geographically, artistically, emotionally, I am in an introverted, very, very calm, interesting space that I don't think that I or any of my peers have ever been in. I'm in Limerick City. I am working in a bubble with my closest, God knows, in Merle. And we're writing and trying to find the dots to connect in the middle of all of this and actually just be present in these moments, for better or for worse, is actually the work right now. Not to, produce smash hits, but rather just to connect with yourself and the music and with people who make you feel like the connection means something. And right now, that's what here means for me, is that, hey, I'm here. I'm not going to go anywhere, and I'm going to stay here, and so I need to be somewhere else,
So it's a time of quiet reflection, but I'm sure a little bit of creativity. Now, you've referred to the record as a mixtape. It's a patchwork of eclectic elements brought together, but you are a rapper. Your work has a hip-hop spoken word dimension to it. How did that emerge as your sound? Do you feel like you're part of a wider music scene?
Yeah, I do. I think that if you're part of hip-hop, if you're rapping at all, then you are already part of a wider music scene, because hip-hop is a culture, and within it, people rap, we breakdance, we do graffiti, we DJ, there's art in all things. And I think that as a musician, as a performer, as a rapper, I don't really think too hard about my sound. I think that that's a really easy way to get in my head and stop being creative. I love being and having the freedom to just do what comes naturally, because there is a community around me.
Now, I know that you started making music, performing quite early, in your teens even, but your breakout really came with your debut EP in 2019. That was relatively recent, and generally these early years in an artist's trajectory are key for establishing yourself on people's radar, something that you've definitely done. But given that last year you couldn't tour, how did you manage it?
I don't know. We were prepared, though. I have been doing music for a very long time. If you come to Limerick, to the scene, people will have seen me running around, grafting, going and supporting people at shows, or putting on like little poetry nights. And when lockdown hit, I think that the tendency, the urge that we had was to go, oh, do we keep this to ourselves and wait until we can tour? Do we wait for all of this stuff? And honestly, the answer was like, no, why wait? If you are here and if you're doing this forever, then you'll have another opportunity to make another thing that you feel is like a classic for you, because that's the goal, not to hoard your gems, but rather to stimulate growth by continuing to give.
And the world definitely took notice. Now, speaking of that EP, Dual Citizenship, I wanted to ask you about its very strong title track. But first, let's take a listen.
I could show you the spirit of Lucan, Limerick, and Lusaka. I could translate all of my Lenje stories so that we could sing them Oscuelga. I could be bacon and cabbage in Muflira, or Matevito and swords cooking in Shima. So where are you from, originally? Because we are not the dead branch of a diasporan dream. Yes, we bear different fruit from our family tree. We offer different produce to the family feast.
Now, that is a really powerful exploration of identity and race with that question we hear so often, where are you from originally? I wanted to point out that the jewel in the title is with an E, which suggests a conflict. Is this record your response to a provocation of some sort?
Yeah, I think that the world insists on trying to fit you in boxes when it doesn't understand you and convince you that the resulting tension is your fault. And I think that a big part of the work of identity building and self-creation is to realize when you have to fight for your joy and fight for your confidence. And dual citizenship was my response to anybody who'd ever told me that I didn't know who I was or I was lost or wandering, because I'm a Black woman from Zambia living in Ireland who calls herself Irish with a few different accents that I cycle through. There is no rule book for what life means to people. And so dual citizenship is about saying, I claim my life for myself.
Indeed, you mentioned that you moved to Ireland as a child. Ireland historically has been a country of emigration, not immigration. How do you see the society grappling with a changing sense of identity in the 21st century?
Like many others, it's a very tense experience. I don't think that, old traditions, even painful traditions, bad traditions, traditions that hurt us, they die hard. And actually, for so many places, there is a reckoning that we have not come to with the loss, the pain, what does it mean to be Irish? What does it mean to be French or English or Zambian? What does that mean? But I personally came to an Ireland that felt like home because I come from a country of immigrants too. I come from a country of scholars and poets and storytellers and dancers and musicians and people who know how to have a drink. And I came to a country that was exactly like that. And it made sense to me that this would be home because this is what I chose. This is what chose me back. And this is the place that I'm committed to growing and nurturing in a very similar way. I'm committed to growing and nurturing my roots back in Zambia. So, it's complicated. Every country is going through a very complicated overturn of like what identity actually means for them. But I'm very proud to be part of an Ireland that doesn't base its identity purely in whiteness, because that's kind of a fragile thing to do.
Indeed, you've been very vocal in your support for social justice, the Black Lives Matter movement, and you've spoken about having to deal with racism yourself. It did make me think of what some high-profile Black artists have said about Black excellence, the notion that you have to be better, work harder to be successful when Black. How do you see that in your industry? Is it something you identify with?
It's something that I feel an urge to do. It's something that I feel I must become in order to get even a fraction of the attention for, I guess, the same work. But I also feel that we have to come to a point where it's not about Black excellence as much as it's about Black acknowledgement. Really, really looking at the institutions that form all of our societies and why we push people to strive quite so hard when actually their humanity should be enough. I joke with my friends all the time that sometimes it's good to celebrate Black mediocrity. Let me chill. I just want to relax sometimes and not have to be the first Black everything. And I had to come to a point where I was like, that's not a victory of Blackness so much as it's a failure of whiteness. Why must there be so many firsts? Why are there so many obstacles still left for us to fight when it comes to our humanity and just living it fully? It's
Indeed.
Painful.
Now, going back to that debut EP of yours, it's a bold statement of intent, setting out your beliefs. I love the line in Copper Bullet where you say, don't talk about female rap like I'm an extra in the scene. As well as being pushed to the margins, many women in rap often say that attention's too focused on their appearance. Cardi B has spoken about the backlash she received for how she looks in her work in the past. Do you think there's a double standard in the industry?
Yes, I do. And I think that there's a double standard in every industry, but I think especially here. I grew up very frustrated with people because they would always, talk about hip hop, and it would be very, very clear that this was just men. Why would I put my time and effort into working at something, putting my life into something, putting my attention and my intellect and my focus here, and not be recognized in the canon of my peers because of my femininity. It's wrong. Like, and I really feel that because of the curse actually like overarching the world, where we're not able to look at Black women with the grace that they deserve. Any Black woman who is a rapper, who has been put in a position where even their sexuality has been commodified and attempted to be taken from them, it's something unavoidable. It's something people do to you, even if you're not doing it to yourself. And so I have a lot of respect for every woman in this industry, every woman who's rapping, every person who's writing lyrics, everyone, because this is not easy.
Now, finally, just briefly, we asked you to point us in the direction of something you've enjoyed recently. You named a musician, Peter Cottontail. What is it about his work that sets him apart?
His joy.
We definitely need that.
Yeah, I think so. And I think that he has a joy that moves itself beyond toxic positivity. And I think that he holds this beautiful tension between focusing and seeing and like really understanding suffering and pain, and also flipping it into joy and using his faith to sort of like speak life into himself and into the people around him. And so everything sounds like, even when it's a sad song, it sounds ecstatic. It's gotten me out of bed sometimes. He definitely deserves an ear.
Fantastic. A great tip. Thank you so much, Denise, for joining us today. We'll leave you with a clip of Peter Cottontail's Keys, Wallet, Phone, God from his latest album, Catch. And remember, you can get more music, arts and culture on our website. We're also on social media too. There's more news coming up on France 24 just after this.
What you do not need, you must leave it behind you. What you do not need, you must leave it behind you. What you do not need, you must leave it behind you.
Worldviews. France 24 brings you all the news from hotspots around the world. In France, Asia, the Middle East, the Americas, and Africa. From Europe to Oceania, take a daily trip across borders to keep abreast of all the latest international news. Get exclusive updates from our correspondents around the globe. Our daily reports will take you to all four corners of the world. Every day, watch World Views on France 24 and France24.com.